Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. Last week I attended a rally outside of the Senate inquiry into train manufacturing in Newcastle, which was aimed at highlighting the importance of maintaining a local high-skilled manufacturing workforce in the Hunter. Dozens of our local train builders, many from my electorate, gathered to tell state and federal governments that enough is enough when it comes to offshoring our local manufacturing jobs. Mr Speaker, as you know, I'm absolutely appalled by this government's decision to offshore the $2.3 billion inner-city train fleet to South Korea. The new inner-city train fleet will replace the existing New South Wales Trainlink V set fleet, which linked Newcastle and the Central Coast and the Blue Mountains and the South Coast to Sydney. And the Senate inquiry in Newcastle heard firsthand how this decision has dealt a crushing blow to our local train manufacturing industry in the Swansea electorate, in the Hunter and in New South Wales. It has been estimated that this decision has cost around 1,200 direct jobs in New South Wales and almost 600 jobs in the Hunter alone, many from the electorate I represent, and at a time when youth unemployment in our region sits at over 12%. 12,000 additional downstream jobs could be jeopardised because of the government's decision. What a kick in the guts to our local workers, local businesses and local families who will all miss out on the benefits that hundreds of local high-skilled manufacturing jobs would bring to our regional economy. It seems that this state government couldn't care less about our local manufacturing industry. Take this local case in point. I was recently contacted by ComSteel, world-renowned manufacturers who are at the front of train, wheel and axle manufacturing, who tell me that they are up there with the best in the world. I represented their interests in bidding for the contract to manufacture the wheels and axles for the inner-city train fleet to the Minister for Transport, only to never receive a response, not even an acknowledgement of ComSteel's request. I've since heard anecdotally that ComSteel have missed out on its contract. Another opportunity for our highly skilled manufacturers has gone begging. Just to give you some perspective, train wheels and axles are not manufactured in South Korea. The government knew this. They also knew the Korean manufacturer would have to look globally for these components. The government could have and should have required these wheels and axles to be manufactured in New South Wales. ComSteel already builds wheels and axles for the current Waratah fleet, so go figure. Mr Speaker, we don't have to look far to see how taxpayers' money can be squandered when offshoring our train builds to overseas manufacturers. Queensland's $4.4 billion investment has been halted indefinitely after receiving 13 dodgy trains. That's just 13 of the 75 commissioned by the former Newman Liberal National Government. Queensland's new generation rolling stock, NGR, has significant design issues, including faulty brakes, dud air conditioning systems, poor ventilations, issues with disability access and even problems for sightlines for the drivers. This means that our cousins north of the border have spent a whopping $4.4 billion on 13 dodgy trains. Contrast that with our friends from Victoria, who in September 2016 announced the creation of 1,100 highly skilled local jobs with the state's single largest order of trains to be built in Victoria, for Victoria, by Victorians. I find it inconceivable that in light of this disaster in Queensland, our own government here in New South Wales is still willing to send $2.3 billion of taxpayers' money overseas to build the trains that will service our local regions. It is an insult to our workers, it is an insult to their families, and it is an insult to the people of New South Wales. I say to the government, reverse this decision now and avert a disaster. Reverse this decision and build our trains right here in New South Wales. The path forward for the government is clear. Appearing before Monday's Senate inquiry in Newcastle, Managing Director of Lovells Springs in Carrington, Simon Crane, was adamant that all we need is the political will to bring rail manufacturing back from the dead. Government members constantly walk into this place and criticise our workers and their representatives, labelling them union thugs. Well, I can tell you that the train manufacturing workers I met last week are not thugs at all, Mr Speaker. They are local workers in our community, with families, with mortgages, bills to pay, food to put on the table. What they want isn't much to ask. It's the dignity of a good local job. Like my Labor colleagues, I will always stand up to protect great, high-skilled local manufacturing jobs in the Swansea electorate, in the Hunter and in New South Wales. Sadly, the Premier and this government cannot say the same thing.